Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co-author of New Success Secrets, available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Henrik De Gyor. Henrik is a digital asset management consultant. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Henrik De Gyor. Henrik, welcome.
Thanks, Siddique. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. So, digital asset management consultant, DAM consultant, is a very unique. So, we love to learn from you on this one. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to get into this digital management
Sure,
consultancy?
sure. So I was born in Belgium, and I grew up in the DC area. A very media heavy in the area, of course, as we all realize, since Washington DC has a lot of media for obvious reasons. But anyways, I was after I graduated from university, I was a photographer. So I was creating media for a variety of different publications and professionally for about a decade. And I realized since that was the advent of digital photography at the time, I helped every organization that I was with strive to get into digital photography. And the challenge wasn't creating digital photography or any other media for that matter. It was managing it after the fact. And I realized there was more future in creating media. In managing media than creating it. Even though creating is fun, of course, and that's what everyone wants to do. But managing it is the boring aspect. And because it's boring, no one wants to do it. And it pays better though. So I decided to get into that. And I saw the future because I was managing it for all my colleagues in the photo departments in question, and no one really wanted to do it, and no one wanted to add metadata, which is really boring as well. But it enables you to find stuff in seconds rather than minutes, days, hours, or never again. So rather than recreating stuff that you already have, and sometimes you don't get to do that ever again, why not add the information so that you can find it again? And that's what I focus on, is digital asset management. So basically, I figured out that managing media is probably more fruitful long term, because we're only creating more. And so I wrote a book about it. I wrote a blog and a podcast about it. And 9 podcasts and 9 books later, I figured out last year that we shouldn't be creating media ourselves as humans, because machines now can do it better. And that's the future, because the machines will create about 100 times more media than we can ever do very, very quickly, and better, and photorealistic versions. So that's what I'm focusing on now.
So, is that you really I'm talking to, or I'm talking to your synthetic voice?
Today it's me. Today, not that you would be able to tell if it was my synthetic, because I could have the answers already pre-programmed, right?
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So give me an example of how this podcast could run as this new media I would say new media.
Sure. Yeah. So we're talking about synthetic media, basically. So
Yeah.
artificial media is created by men and people, right? Or man, should I say? Synthetic media is created by machines, right? And so the simplistic version of it is basically having an avatar of ourselves, literally what you see here, right? And having how we look and how we speak synthesized, and having basically just a script that you type out saying, oh, well, today I want my avatar to do this in this language, with this voice, with my voice or someone else's. So you can pick out an avatar of someone else or synthesize yourself. And this is basically going to enable people, whether they're a voice talent or they are afraid of talking, which there might be a few people that don't like public speaking that we might know of,
Yeah.
2, 3, maybe 6 billion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
and basically enable them to do and say anything professionally by whether they type out the script or they have a copy editor type out the script, right? And type it out, and it's the script says what you're going to say, right? And then the avatar does it how you want it to do, right? With the voice that you want, the languages that you want, right? And I say emphasis on languages, right? So companies have done this for whether it's a company of one or a company of 300,000, you can message every single person personally and say their name personally, right? Even though, no one person will actually personalize a video to every single person they're ever going to do that, especially if you have 300,000 employees. But they've done that already, right? So there's like, congratulations, Siddique, great job on the whatever project in your department, etc., the XYZ department. So you get a raise, or this is the next project that we're going to work on, or here's the messaging that we're going to tell you about today. Right. So imagine all the advertising and marketing capabilities and the corporate communication opportunities right there and then. Right now, this goes far, 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 far more than just what we see and what we hear, because that's what most media we consider. However, synthetic media actually, and I wrote this in the latest book that I wrote called Synthetic Media, and a podcast that I created also called Synthetic Media, where you can synthesize all 5 senses, meaning what you hear and see, what you can touch and feel, literally. So you can touch and feel products that don't exist or that are not in front of you, meaning prototyping. Imagine prototyping where you can touch and feel the plane or the car, and plane and car manufacturers actually use this to see, oh, do I want this knob here or here or here? And how is it going to feel when I use it? So they can actually touch and feel it before they actually build it, which is mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you want more information about the other 2 senses, you'll have to take a look at the book, because I interviewed the top experts in the world about this.
I love this. I love the pitch. So wonderful. Okay, so I'm sure. So you are a consultant, or this is your own technology for people who are watching this, just to make sure.
So full disclosure, I'm a consultant, and I've researched this technology for a while, quite a while now, and basically I just researched the entire world, because a lot of it is not in the United States. Big surprise, and it is being designed and still being built to a degree, and being perfected. Literally every few weeks, there's major developments in each one, and it's just mind blowing how fast it's expanding, and it's really exciting. So it's not my technology, but as a consultant, I can tell you which technology is right for your use case, because I've seen many of the use cases and how they're being done. Whether you want to synthesize your entire body, or just your head and shoulders, or whatever your need is, or you actually want to use the tactile purposes, right?
Mhm. Wonderful. So that means if someone like me adapt it, I will always look the same, and even though I'm gone, I still can keep doing it. Somebody could be ghostwriting whole thing.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so you could, as a speaker, you could do in all the languages that you ever dream of, right?
Mhm.
Have your same show or the same speeches, and do it all the same day. So you could give 100 speeches in 60 different languages, right? The same day, and not move your lips the entire day yourself, and be sipping a margarita or whatever your favorite drink is.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. That's exciting. So
Mhm.
I'm sure many people are doing it, they are failing it too. So what are the top 3 reasons why are people failing in adapting this?
In adopting this, or there's several things. There's user adoption, right? So there's the awareness, right? The awareness of this, because most people aren't aware that you can do
Yeah.
this. So there's the awareness of this. There's the education of how it applies to me or my business, right? That's the 2 key things that are missing. And this is part of my endeavor here, is to share that information, that you as a business can use these technologies today. You don't have to wait longer, and they're not going to look like blocky Atari looking characters or whatever. Like they're going to look photorealistic, right? And they're going to the lips are going to look right, the eyes are going to look right, they're going to move properly. It's mind-blowing how well it's adapting. Literally every few months you'll see major developments in this. So and it's low cost, so you have to understand, if it's cheaper, faster, and better than you doing it yourself, and you have the trifecta there, and you don't want to do it yourself. Oh, let's pretend you want to do it yourself. So you can't scale yourself, can you? Right. But you can scale this, right? So this is a scalability issue, right? It's a mindset of, well, I have to do all these meetings and fly all over the world to do all these calls and presentations. No, you don't. You don't have to do any of that. You, you can literally do it this way. And yes, if you want to perform or practice your speech one time in one specific area, no problem. You can do that. And then your avatar can do all the rest everywhere else on the planet in every other language. So you don't have to practice, whatever other language that you're not very good at. So why wouldn't you want to scale yourself? This is, of course, part of the awareness and education, right? Scale yourself, right? Understand how you can control this, right? Because you do get to control it. And there's some that are very relatively easy to use, and there's content moderation. And so if you're worried about how it might be misused, the easy to use tools are moderated, right? And they're controlled on what you're allowed to say. Big surprise, right? And then there's tools that you can control 100%, and you can do just about anything you want with it. And that takes obviously more effort.
Wonderful. So, what is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Sure. Yeah. So my greatest failure story is not something that's going to be too popular. It's meeting people physically in
Okay.
person, right? It is because it took a pandemic to figure out that if you meet people physically, you might get sick, which many of us did. If you meet people physically, you waste resources and time traveling or commuting to them. So why bother doing it when you can have an intelligent conversation just like this, right? And we've done this for at least 2 years. So why are we going back to an office if we don't move physical products? If we don't design or move physical products, why are we going back to an office or meeting people that we can have intelligent business conversation like this when we don't need to? Because most of our work, if we're not moving physical objects, we're not at a restaurant, a brick and mortar store, a factory, delivering materials, or building things on the spot, right? Why are we commuting or traveling or wasting any of our time or any of our resources rather than 2 clicks? Which makes more sense? Think about that. Forget handshakes, because can't do that anymore. Oh, COVID, sorry. Hugging, sorry. HR doesn't like that either. So why are we meeting? To have lunch together? What? Seriously, that's the biggest failure. So it took a pandemic to figure that out. And hopefully we've learned from that.
What are your top 3 success secrets that others can model from?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to borrow from Jeff Bezos, the regret minimization framework. Basically, if you can stop procrastinating and start doing your own thing, whatever that happens to be, your idea, your startup, whatever you want to do, right? So that when you're 80 or 100 years old, you won't regret what you didn't do. It's not regretting what you did do. It's regretting what you didn't do, that you no longer have time or effort or energy or money or whatever that you can't do it anymore. So why not start now? That's the first one. The next one is don't limit yourself, nor your ability censoring yourself. Just do it, right? And see what the possibilities are. And lastly, saying yes too often. Stop doing that too.
What motivates you within?
What motivates me? Well, getting up in the morning and being healthy and being able to do it. That's a big plus, right? That we should be happy that we can do that when we are. Secondly, having the motivation to have ideas and execute on them, because executing is harder than generating the idea. And seeing the possibilities, just like synthetic media. There's so many different possibilities if you use your imagination and your creativity. And I'd like to use both.
What is your company's motto?
My company motto. I don't think I have one, but I would say it's possible.
Who is your ideal client?
My ideal client. I would say my ideal client is any company that is willing to expand their possibilities of managing their media, and creating media in a more scalable way.
Who will be the low hanging fruit in this case?
Any company that's between 1 and, let's say, 400,000 people that's has the budget and the willingness to do that.
How do you find your ideal client?
So through podcasts like this is one of them. Through messaging and awareness campaigns. And so I guest on podcasts on a regular basis. I have my own, and which you can find on henrikdegyor.com. So that's myname.com. And to sharing it on social media networks, writing books. Yep.
How do you engage your ideal client?
How do I engage them? Well, I keep them engaged by actually doing the work that's important to them, and getting their message out there, right? So whether it's managing that message or the messages, right, in digital asset management, because they know what their message is, right? And I don't do the messaging for them necessarily, unless they want me to create the synthetic media content. That's fine. I can do that too. But it's not my technology, but I'm happy to do that for them. But engaging them by actually doing it, getting the work done is the most important thing, and moving forward.
What are your well-defined services?
So we have several. So you can find them at mydamnservices.com. Is one of the companies that I own. We have media management, as far as managing digital asset management. So we have the talent. We know which services and platforms to be able to use for this. There's over 400 if you want a list. There's the metadata. So the things that people don't want to do, we have people that can do that professionally, that do this on a regular basis at scale. And they can do all this remotely, and as well as synthetic media services. So synthetic media creation, as well as synthetic media consulting, to figure out what tools you can use yourself if you want to do this yourself rather than having me do it.
Why someone should buy from you?
Well, I've done the research, not many people have, of connecting the dots, basically. So the connecting the dots and understanding what is possible today and which tools do it the best for the budget and the ideas in mind. And I have that list. I understand how it's done. I've created the list itself, and I understand that most people haven't connected the dots beyond two types of media: the one that you can hear and the one that you can see, right? That you can actually feel and smell and taste them, right? So I believe that's the future and even professional chefs, you would imagine, have actually asked this and have actually produced this in the past. So I have stories about that and how it worked. But it's totally possible to do any of these things, and it's just a matter of whether you want to have the conversation.
How do you crush your competition?
Well, most people haven't done the research, and most people don't study these niches. I specifically study niche topics. That's all I do. That are business savvy. I'm business savvy enough to understand what are the niches that will affect people going forward. And most people don't really realize them. So my competition doesn't really exist. And if they do a really poor job because I know them.
How do you handle rejections?
Rejection is basically not getting called, and I'm okay with that.
How do you handle an angry client?
Those are rare. I would say figure out why, listen, and resolve the issue.
How do you deliver a 5-star client experience?
You over deliver, basically. You under promise, over deliver. That's not too hard in niche topics that they usually don't understand. So I think it's a matter of what's possible in the immediate future, typically. Usually in a quarterly or yearly basis. For a lot of these things, with synthetic media, you can have results in hours, which is pretty amazing. So it's a matter of what you want done. With digital asset management, it takes a lot longer. With metadata, it can take a few weeks or days, depending on what the scale is. So it's a matter of delivering.
How do you convert your clients into brand ambassadors?
So I think it's a matter of getting fans, basically. I call them fans, right? People who are like, wow, you just blew me away. Uh, how you should definitely check this out because, oh, you have this problem. Well, he's already researched and figured it out. So this is how you figure it out is you contact us because we've done the homework, right? We've written the books, we have the podcast, we've interviewed the best people in the world about this topic. So we understand the challenges and the success is possible.
Thank you. We are about to move into lightning round. That means quick question and quick answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
What are you grateful for today?
My health and peace today.
How do you start your day?
I have my morning routine. You can see it on henrikdegyor.com.
How young are you?
I'm 46.
Henrik, you are not 46, you are 18 years old. Rest is all experience.
Thanks.
What you want to do when you grow up?
I want to build machines that do the research and create more media.
Build machines?
Yes.
Okay. What is your plan to achieve your goal?
Work with companies that want to do the same.
How will you feel in case you don't achieve your goal?
I'll probably have to pivot. So the creation of the media, that's going to be very easy because that exists today. The research, the machines, meaning AI for the most part, deep learning, neural networks, etc., that can do the research, that exists to a degree, but it takes more building. So if I don't achieve it, I'll just basically pivot and figure out what is possible in a nearer term.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
Basically, I focus on what is I can control and plan ahead and be aware of the rest.
What is the advice you will give to younger yourself?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Once you have a revenue generating idea, how do you convince your significant other?
I don't have to because they get to enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Who is your living mentor and what's the impact?
I would say probably Jeff Bezos or maybe Bill Gates for their relentless focus and their lifelong learning.
Why being impactful is important to you?
I think it's important that people understand what's impactful, and what I try to do is figure out what is impactful that is buried in the niches and to make that aware to everyone.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Connecting the dots on and clarity and awareness on niche topics that are impactful to people.
How can we support you?
You can go to henrikdegyor.com. You can schedule a call with me if you wish. You can also go to mydamnservices.com and check out our services there. It's another company that I own. And schedule a call, and we can see what's possible for your company and yourself as well.
We are about to wrap up. I like to have a few words about your today's guest experience on the show. Here's my question. What would you say about your today's guest experience on the show?
It was fantastic. I appreciate the privilege and the pleasure of speaking with you, and I appreciate the rapid questions. Thank you.
What would you say as a final word?
Do it.
Thank you so much, Henrik, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.